Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Agape Purpose Podcast. And today I am joined by two incredible men of God that I get the blessing to call friends and my pastors, Micah Rickles and Reeser Williams. How are you guys?
Glad to be here, man.
I'm excited about this.
I'm excited because I get to ask you questions and you have to answer them, right?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, man.
So I want to, before we get into some of these questions, I really want to learn the foundation of ministry and what brought you guys into ministry. So I'll start with Micah.
Sure.
What brought you into ministry?
A praying mother. Yeah, that's what I would say, because I was ornery where I come from. That's the way we say it, and rebellious in different ways. I was raised in a Christian home, around faith and Jesus my whole life, but rebelled significantly in my teenage years and made some poor choices. You know, you'll hear a lot of testimonies like that, you know, where people rebel, and I did the same thing. But my mama prayed. People were standing in the gap for me, and I got married at a very young age. And so when you get married and you start having kids, you start to have, you know, some maturing that happens. And the Lord used all those ingredients to draw me back to just attending church. And you know what I found is we just loved the local church. And so my wife and I, we just started serving, trying to get our marriage right, trying to learn how to raise kids, get my life right, because I was, again, running from the Lord. And serving in the local church started off as like cleaning the toilets. And because we just wanted to help, and we were young. Again, I got married at 19. So I was young, and we didn't know how to help or whatever. But so we know cleaning the toilets, like, that's a big deal. Not a lot of people wanted to do it.
That's true.
So
That's
so
true.
Okay, that's where I'll start. And then, because we had a lot of kids, started serving in kids' men. Then they're like, hey, you want to help with youth? Then they're like, you want to do announcements this Sunday? And this is little country churches. I'm from West Virginia. And so then they would be like, hey, why don't you teach the Bible study this week? And then finally, the senior pastor there at the small little country church said, hey, have you thought about going into ministry? So I'm different from some, because they had this call from God at like a camp or at an altar.
Yeah.
And mine was not like that. It was just literally, I want to serve the local church. And as I did so, the Lord said, okay, now this, and now this, and now this. And so, long story short, now I find myself as a senior pastor at Lift Church here in Venice, Florida, and it started cleaning toilets in Jane Lou, West Virginia.
I love that. It's like your calling is more by necessity, because you're literally just saying, hey, God, here I am, use me.
Yeah.
Is that accurate? You would
100%. Yeah, because I'm introvert naturally. So what I'm doing right now requires effort. And I think there's another term now. They call them like an omnivert or something, but I'm like, there's this blend, but I know how to do it, but it was not something I would choose. So in the things I find myself doing in the local church now, it was a necessity or a next step. And for me, I think ministry is obedience. So it was not about a specific call or, hey, I'm supposed to be a preacher one day or any of that. It was just whatever step I was on, how do I be obedient in that? And then when I was faithful with a little, he started giving me other things, and I'm humbled by it. You know, and Reeser can attest, we do life together, and it's like, and you know too, because you come to the church and you're part of our house, it's like, I'm always like very humbled and like, Lord, I think you might have the wrong guy. I don't know. Not to be like prideful and like question what God's doing, but you can kind of feel that way because I come from humble beginnings. So.
Yeah. And, you know, as one of your congregants, I get the beauty of seeing how you live that with your actions, with your wife, with your 7 kids. Your heart is all about, it's 7, right?
It is 7. Well, so my son got married, so I got 8 technically, because I have a daughter-in-law now.
But yeah, so like you get to see that with the faith in action, and it's never about, hey, this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
This is what you get to do is with you. And that's one of the most beautiful things I get to see with both of you. Now, Reeser, I brought you in because obviously, you know, our ministry is in Haiti and you're from Haiti, but you have such a unique origin story from Haiti. Could you expand on that and tell everyone how you got from Haiti to Indiana to here to Florida?
Oh, yes. How long do we have?
As long as you want.
Yeah, Pastor Micah, I was listening to Pastor Micah, it's the same kind of heart, except mine started a little different. Because I was born in Haiti, born to a poor family, and born with a tumor. So that tumor was causing us a lot of trouble. And I needed immediate help. So there again, there was a man in Evansville, Indiana, was in a cornfield on his knees praying to God, actually beating the ground with his fist, asking God, I have to have more than this. Mm-hmm. Just going out and preaching every Sunday morning, Sunday night's not enough. I need more. I need to do more. Needless to say that he didn't know that God was going to call him to a place that he has never heard of, to a little island of Haiti. And so, he got a visitation by an angel. Wow. That sent him to Haiti. Wow. Which is an amazing story, actually. And so sometimes I think that God sent him just for me. Mm. I'm sorry for the rest of the hundreds and hundreds of young men that he has helped, but I felt that, And so, that's how I got there. And did I know at 6 years old, when I was standing in front of a congregation of probably 500 to 600 people singing a song, He Touched Me, with a tumor in my mouth where they hardly could understand a word I was saying. Mm-hmm. And that's when my ministry started at the age of 6 years old, with a tumor in my mouth, singing He Touched Me.
That's so incredible.
So from there, went back to Haiti again and had more surgeries, came back to the United States with more surgeries. And so the last trip I made to the United States was a high school in Norman, Oklahoma. And that's where that started. I remember the first Wednesday night service, and I sang a solo. And by Andre Crouch, Jesus is the Answer. Mm. Each of these songs that came out of my mouth, out of my spirit, was not just a testimony, but a prophecy, right? He has answered every prayer that my mom and that my dad has ever asked, prayed. And so that's how the ministry starts. From that moment on, at the age of 17, I said, I will be the doorkeeper of the house of the Lord. I'll clean toilets as long as I am in the house of the Lord. That's all I've ever wanted to do. Mm. I was not interested in going to college, which I had to go to stay in the country for a year or so. But all I wanted to do was doing what I'm doing right now. Mm. It's been the passion. Yeah. And so from Oklahoma to Arizona, and then God called me from Arizona, where I was comfortable. He said, it's time to start that ministry now. So I found myself back in Oklahoma, starting at leading worship at a little church at 43 members. Mm. That's it, 43 members. Didn't need a whole bunch, starting with that little. Yep. I had to learn a few things about leading. You can sing, but can you lead people? Mm. That's a big difference. Yes. So I had to learn all of that, and he kept me there for 5 years until I was ready to go to a church of 1,500 members. Then that's when I had a choir of 100-member choir. Mm. And so God knows what he's doing if you just be obedient and just have the patience to follow. Mm. And then I left there from Evansville for 16 years, and then God called me. I mean, it was weird that he keeps calling me to do these things, And then I got called to Venice, Florida. And then there I am. And hopefully this is where I will end up my...
So you say hopefully end up, but you started a ministry now in Haiti called the Plate Project. Expand on that. What exactly is the Plate Project, and what does it do? The
Plate Project. So I went back after I was in the United States for 25 years. So I had no contact with my family members. Hmm. So a good friend of mine, which is my mentor, and he went to Haiti and found my family. Wow. So I went to meet them. And so, not meet them. Of course, I've known about them. I just have not had no contact with them for 25 years. Mm. So I went there. When I got there, before actually they came, I had a few days to spend with the boys. I find myself, we brought clothes, socks and shoes, underwear, like we all do. Mm-hmm. And I find myself putting clothes on this 5-year-old boy. And immediately God just brought to my memory, that was you. Mm. Exactly. Then that's when that started. So I started going to Haiti and helping with the orphanage. Then when that part stopped, I found myself went to bury my mother. And I had to walk from the hotel to my mother's house. But to go through there was a huge ravine. And it was where all the trash are gathered. Mm. The goats, the pig, the dogs, and the children. They're all looking for food. That's the mystery started. I said, how can we walk by here every single day and not do something? Mm. When we were commended, right? Yes. Yeah. James tells us about it, right? To take care of the orphans and the widows. Mm. So me and my wife decided we're going to do everything we can do by ourselves. And that's what we were doing by ourselves. Mm. When we didn't know that we could just tell other people about it. And that's funny because we thought it was our ministry and this is our calling, so we're going to do it on our own. Well, what I found out, you can't do it on your own. You need help. And so we started the Play Project from that little, from a terrible situation, actually, my mother's passing. And that's how it started.
It's such a beautiful origin story because there's depth behind it. And I'm not saying every missions, it doesn't have depth behind it, but you have a real life example of like, hey, I was in this, I was in the trash. I was there waiting for food to happen. And now I want to be that relief for them. That's so beautiful. It kind of leads into my next question about Lift is like, obviously, as you know, a congregate, I get to see that the heart is so deeply rooted in missions and the giving, giving to Agape, telling people about volunteering here, pushing people out there, saying, hey, we're not called to stay in the church. We're called to go out and make those disciples. Amen. Where did that come from? Where did that origin come from for you?
I mean, I think it's scriptural. I'm originally a church planter, and the basics of a church, to call it a church, it has 3 elements. This is different people vary on this, but it needs to have the lordship of Jesus Christ. It needs to have a community where people are sharpening each other in discipleship, but then it also needs to be on mission. If you don't have the mission piece, you're a small group, technically, right? Small groups can do that. They'll meet together, lordship of Jesus, and we're going to sharpen each other, but they don't have this outward thinking. And our heart, when we were like looking at the church, it was we lift Jesus, we lift each other, and we lift our community. And that was the mission side of because I just asked people, what are we lifting? When we were called Lift Church, because I, came into that name of that church. I didn't name it. And for me, if we're going to lift our community, it's twofold. It's give them the gospel, because that's the best way to lift anybody up, is to show them the way, the truth, and the life. And then the second thing was to be the hands and feet. So meet need. When you've done it to the least of these, you've done it unto me, is what Jesus Christ would say in the Gospels. And so our heart was that we wanted to, if we no longer existed, the community would miss us. Like if we weren't here anymore, and be like, man, I really missed Lift Church, made a difference. And so I just would ask our leadership that, are we making a difference, and what does that look like? And it's both for us. At Lift Church, it's both local and global. And so we want to meet needs, across international lines, but we also want to do it right here in our community. And with Agape, you're doing both. So we have a need that we're meeting here by bringing volunteers or resources or whatever, but those things start this ripple effect that goes across international lines. And now we're helping those in need, in the Caribbean and so on. So that's really our heart, is to follow scriptural mandate.
So you talk about this partnership with like Agape Flights. What would, again, I want you to put your church hat on, not the pastor hat, more or less.
Okay.
What would be your expectations for an organization like Agape Flights for you to partner with them?
I think they're doing it. The clarity and the integrity that Agape Flights has, I think, is huge. Yes. Unfortunately, in the world, there's a lot of stereotypes around nonprofits and stuff. Yes, we know, like, we're friends with you, friends with the team here. So like, we know people here. Not only that, I mean, I'm walking through your hangar looking at the tangible, things that are getting ready to be shipped out. And as Katie already mentioned, like some things have been shipped out today. So for me, the integrity is a big piece. And then it's easy. So I think a partnership with an organization like Agape should be clear, should be easy to participate in. And I feel like Agape does that really well, that there's not a bunch of hoops to jump through to actually get some rubber on the road, And so those are a couple of things that I look at. And the heart, the people around here believe in what they're doing. If you don't believe in what you're doing, then it's hard for us to partner with you, because that's got a timeline. Yeah.
You can see it too. Like if it's just, hey, it's a job and it's just a rotation. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But around here, there's a burning, like a passion in that. And so for us, if I get to do what we feel we're supposed to do, which is give gospel and meet need, and I get to do that in a place that has integrity, it's easy to do it with, and they love it. That's exactly what you're looking for. Like that's ideal.
I love that. And kind of in the same vein, Reeser, what did that mean for like organizations like Agape Flights when you were in Haiti? Because obviously it was organizations that man was partnered with you. What does that mean to people like you on the ground like that?
I before the earthquake, we've been trying to get containers to Haiti. And if you know Haiti, if you know the Haitian government, it is a nightmare, right? You can do all of that, and there's so many wonderful people with great heart that wants to give. And we have filled in a container before and sent it there, and then can't get it out. So the thing about Agape Flight, we know it's going to get there. Mm-hmm. That's the beautiful thing about it. And so I just wish now, since I started this ministry called the Play Project, that I had Agape Flight. I knew about it then, Mm-hmm. I didn't know, and it's not too late. It's
never too late.
I believe that the Lord is still going to do something amazing in Haiti. I still believe that. Mm-hmm. And I just wish that I could have, I could use it right now to take it to Petronville and drop off a load for my 2 locations where I'm feeding children, every week.
What are those locations so we know?
They both are in Wood Fair.
Okay.
Petronville, Wood Fair. They're probably, I'd say, 5 miles from each other.
Okay.
Which is great because the first location did start from the house where I bought my mother by that ravine I told you about. And then my brother that was in the same orphanage with me, which is Pastor Fortilia, he has a second location at his church, which we have partnered and helped to build. So that's where they are. Yeah. So something with Agape Flight for them right now, it would have been the ideal thing. Yeah. And I understand, but I appreciate what Agape Flight is doing for the island of Haiti. I mean, I'm so appreciative. I know so many people that have so much stuff. I could gather tons of stuff right now, to send. But I know I can't get it to Petronville. Yeah, to Port-au-Prince.
We right now in Lacaille, like we have like over 13,000 of our cargo is just for Lacaille, and it's. The people just don't realize in Haiti right now, there is nothing. There's not stores.
Nothing.
There's not Amazon. There's nothing. Yeah. Like we are the last resource for these people. So like,
yes.
I joke, and I shouldn't even joke, but like sometimes I like, man, we just have too much cargo. I feel like we're so far behind, but it's like, no, that's your calling.
Yeah.
Like, do not grow weary in that. Yeah. Like, be prideful almost to an extent. Like this, God is using you, and these people need something like that. And so, I gotta ask, because your son is one of my closest friends, and I love him. What does it mean for him to be part of your ministry?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. I took my son for the first time to a Haiti mission. He was 16 years old. Of course, he fell in love with it. I took a group of, I think it was about 18 young people, and it was absolutely changed his whole entire life. He has never forgot that. So right after the earthquake when the earthquake happened, first thing he said, Dad, I want to go. I want to go and serve. And I thought, man, this is going to be rough for him. I don't know if he's young enough for that kind of deal. But then we prayed about it. I said, no, he needs to go see this. So that really changed his whole entire life about ministry. Was it tough? Of course it was. But Justin now is the person now that I'm going to leave the legacy, right, to continue the Play Project. And I have 3 kids, and I believe that after I'm gone, they're going to continue to keep doing this ministry called the Play Project.
I love that. Wow. I love that. And, obviously, Micah, you're plugged in as well, and you're taking a lot of trips to the Dominican.
We are, yeah.
What do you see as the biggest need down there?
Oh, my. Biggest?
Well, how about just the need that you can highlight that so people understand?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said they don't have a lot of things and access to things. Biggest need, food is always huge down there. Yeah. Opportunities in general are hard for them to come by. When we go in country, we're doing building projects, we're doing feeding projects. Of course, always sprinkled with sharing the gospel. This is how we do things, and we do medical trips. So medical is significant need right now down there. As you mentioned, they don't have access to certain things. One of the biggest things they don't have access to is medical care. And so when we go into country, we've done a few different medical trips. I even think the last one that I went on with Justin and them, that's what we were able to do. We were able to do some medical. So I think all of that, it just depends on the area. It depends. It can be subjective to different towns and locations and churches and things like that. But overall, food and medical, and then the systemic change that comes from empowering them through education. Yeah. So the access to education is one that, especially, we partner with an organization down there called ICDM, and they're very big on education, and that's what I've really enjoyed about the leadership down there with Pastor Yvonne. We're meeting needs now, but we're trying to pour into the kids in such a way that it formulates an improvement for the whole society in the future. And that's a big thing that Plate Project is a part of, because education improves when physical nourishment is taken care of.
Exactly.
So when they're nourished, now they're retaining and learning at rates that help the future. So it all kind of like hand in glove, if you would. But yeah, the medical and the food are the two biggest needs that I've run into when I'm in country.
Yeah, we have one of our missionaries, Mark Stockland. He's actually in Jacmel in Haiti, and his biggest thing is that he's Haiti Bible Mission, and what they do is they build the leaders within the community. Yep. And that's the only way you're going to have change in Haiti at this point, because, I mean, with the gangs controlling 60% of the country right now, how are you going to expect there to be change if you're not building those leaderships inside those countries through those, those educational programs? That's just so, sometimes I get so passionate about, because people just don't know what's going on. And Haiti is one of those countries that, hey, it's not offering a lot to the United States, so the United States isn't offering a lot to them. And so it's one of those kind of like forgotten, children in the background. And I'm just like, no, man, there's hurt there. There's hurt throughout that country.
It really is.
And Reeser, correct me if I'm wrong, that is a country that was dedicated to Satan, correct?
That's correct.
That's incredible.
Yes, by Papa Doc, of course. He was the dictator president at the time. So he was also a doctor, but yet he was also a voodoo priest. And so that's what's crazy about this country, But yet, in the midst of all that, there's still some amazing believers there.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't play around either. And I was driving with my wife this morning. I was telling her, I said, do you realize that at the orphanage, we used to have Friday night, all-night prayer? Wow. At our orphanage with kids. And we used to go to the church on a Friday night and pray all night long. And I'm going, thank you that I had that opportunity to be a part of something like that, It's unheard of today, of course, but the Haitian people still go do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
The believers are still doing that. They would go in the mountains and do prayer meetings for weeks, So in the midst of all this voodoo dedication, but there's still some amazing believers that still trust the Lord Jesus Christ.
I remember sleeping on the roof of in Port-au-Prince, and at night you hear the drums of the voodoo.
Yes.
And I'm just like, I was like 17 years old at this time, and I'm like, dude, should we be worried? And the missionary pulled me aside and he said, you have someone who's so much stronger than any amount of man could ever be. And it was one of those moments where, like, I got goosebumps just recalling it right now.
That's good.
It's just one of those moments where you're just like, man, God is bigger than this. No matter the dire straits of Haiti right now, there is a God who can change everything in a moment. And that is such a powerful thing to believe in.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Amen.
So I want to talk about stories. You guys each have been in unique situations. You've been in Dominican Republic a lot. You've been in Haiti. Give me some stories about, you saw a child's life would be changed, or, you saw a mission. You're just like, man, kudos to them. I want to talk about them.
Sure. Yeah. You want to go?
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's probably a bunch that I'd go through. The most recent trip that we took, there was a specific story of this young boy, and we went down to minister to kids. So we did like a VBS and a feeding for families with children, younger children. Some teenagers were involved, but it was mainly with the young kids. And we were ministering at a VBS, and we went there a few different times, pouring in the gospel and just sharing. And this young boy came up, and our children's pastor at the time, her name is Amanda. She had a boot that she was wearing because she had broken her foot and actually had to have surgery when we returned from our trip. But she was a trooper, and she pushed in and she kept serving during the trip. Well, she was leading the VBS, but this little boy saw that her foot was hurt. And he came up as he was learning through the week. He learned we pray for people when they're hurt, right? So he comes and says, I want to pray for your healing. And so this little boy learning on this trip comes up and says, I want to give back to you. You've been given to me, but I want to do something for you. And so it's a humbling thing when you're going to the country to go, like, and this is what can happen with Americans. We think we've got it all, right? And so we go into country, I'm going to help you. And what ended up happening is this young boy prayed for her and prayed for her healing and ministered to her. Well, as he's doing that, I mean, my heart, I'm wrecked. I'm crying like a baby. I'm a very emotional guy, by the way. And so I'm crying. I'm watching this. I just picture my own little kids, the whole thing. But I find out the story of this young boy. So he's at this because his parents are both out of his life, and he has been placed with his grandmother now. And his grandmother is trying to figure out how to take care of him. And so she's bringing him to this because we're feeding them. And so grandma brings it. We'll find out he's a twin. So I meet him, but I also meet his twin, and I meet the grandmother that's helping to try to keep them alive. And so it was even a better testimony that he was pouring back and wanting to pray because of he's going through even more than you realize on a surface level. Not only did he need food, but they're trying to make ends meet and just take care of this. And this grandmother, she was older. It was a challenge for her to raise this child. Nonetheless, at the end of the VBS there, we gave that family extra, took some pictures with them, and just like building a relationship with them long term because of this. So this was just one moment. I mean, I could sit here and beat on it, but like, you go into country to pour into them, and they're so kind, and God does such amazing things that they end up pouring back into you. And this was just our most recent trip, with this little boy that's like praying for healing. And he just learned about like that kind of thing that week. It's like he's just now learning. And I'm like, God, you're amazing.
No, I every time we take trips, it's a gut punch.
Yes.
Every time I'm there, it's just like, man, I have so much. But they have something I don't have, and they have a relationship with Jesus where when you have nothing, you cling to that.
It's so innocent and raw.
It's raw. That's exactly the word. Yes.
Yeah. It is a beautiful thing. You come back inspired.
Yes.
You come back inspired.
You're like, I can learn from you.
Yes.
Let me just sit at your feet and learn how you love Jesus, because that's the Jesus I want to fall in love with as well.
Amen. Yeah.
So, Reeser, I know you got tons of stories as well.
I do. So right now, what we've been doing with these kids, especially right now, school is out. Mm-hmm. So, as you know, in Haiti, because of the gang infestation, that they are luring the kids with food because the parents cannot feed them. So parents don't have no job. So now here comes these people that's doing the wrong thing by luring them. Say, I'll feed you if you come join my gang. So what the Plate Project has been doing is that we've been going in and said, okay, tell the mom and dad, I'm going to feed your kids, so that we don't have to make that choice. And also, we are stopping mom and dad of giving their kids away or even selling their kids. Yeah, that's right, to someone that's going to feed them, which is unheard of, right? Yeah. So that's what the Plate Project is doing. So we had a mother that has this little baby that brought it to our house and just dropped it off. So my sister-in-law took it. And you could tell hadn't ate for the longest time. And so she sent me videos of the Plate Project feeding this little baby. She said, we can't let the baby go. Yeah. I said, well, take it in and I'll send you money for whatever it needs. These are the stories. And then you have moms that bring their babies and they bring their little cans with them, hoping that there'll be some left over that they can get some of that food too. So I decided, well, that can't be either. So I need to feed the families also, the mom and dads and the grandmas. So I decided, okay, we're going to buy a big 100-pound bags of rice. And we're going to get a gallon of sack of rice, send it home with some oil. That way, the mom and the grandmas can have something to eat too. And the other thing is, that we really are inspired about is that we are keeping kids from being trafficked.
Yes.
That's correct. By feeding a child, we're keeping them from being trafficked. So it's an amazing thing what we are doing.
Amen.
Yeah.
What we are doing here at the Plate Project mission. So
we'll start wrapping up a little bit, but I want to know a little bit of vision about Lift Church and Missions and Plate Project. I know Plate Project is expanding outside of Haiti, correct?
Yes, sir.
Why don't you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, so anyway, we got 2 locations in Haiti, I told you. They both are in Wood Frere. And so we wanted to do more. But because, like I said before, that didn't know how to. But now we're getting some wonderful people that's coming around us and that's teaching us, that is coaching us how to do that better. Because to get more location, you need more supporters. Amen? So
true.
Now we are raising awareness of what we're doing. And so now we were being able to do more. So we couldn't go to Haiti. So we said, okay, there's an opening, because our pastor Yvonne said, hey, let me take you to the Dominican Republic. There's a Haitian refugees that lives in the Dominican Republic. So he made a way, and we went there. And sure enough, we went to 2 locations. One was Pastor Hector, and then Pastor Claude. And we wanted to do both, but we didn't have the finances for both. But we did sort of third location in the DR in Santiago with Pastor Hector. So now we're feeding these little babies that we're feeding. Actually, they are the refugees babies that their mom and dad was sent back to Haiti. So in other words, they left the babies. So if we didn't come alongside, Pastor Yvonne actually and Pastor Hector didn't come alongside and help those babies, what would have happened? Yeah. Because those babies would not have any birth certificate, because they were not born in hospitals. They were born in the fields, because they're underground people. And so they can easily taken away and trafficked, enslaved, right? Labor. So he came in and took those babies, and he didn't have enough money to do both. He couldn't feed them, and then also trying to find ways to get them the birth certificate, the proper papers. So we came alongside, and now we said, we'll feed, and you do all the other work. So that's what we're doing now. So we are in the Santiago, hopefully, that we can open the second location in Santiago with Pastor Claude. And as the Lord provide, we're going to keep on going.
I love it.
But I have a connection, though.
Come on.
To go back to Haiti.
Yes, sir.
Cape Haitian.
Yes.
So it didn't happen. It was supposed to happen. I think it was this coming month. But God has a plan, right? His timing is perfect. So I understand that. But I am eager and excited for when it does happen to go back to my country.
I believe
again, to open a location in Cape Haitian. So that is the dream, and that is the hope.
Cape Haitian would be great for us, because we fly directly into there.
Yeah.
So Michael, let's transition to Lift Church. What is the future for missions at Lift Church?
Yeah, before I feel like I should say this, man. Reeser is the real deal.
Yeah,
so for people that might not, and I'll tear up saying it, 'cause I told you I'm emotional, man. Reeser is the real deal, and been a friend with him for a while now, and the stuff that they're doing with Plate Project and his heart for his country and for the people there, and man, it's special to watch. And Reeser's been doing ministry for, I tease him, I say since Noah's Ark he's been doing ministry, but he's just faithful, man. He's just so faithful, and it's a blessing for me to get to watch God kind of pouring into the faithfulness that he's sown over the years, and you're starting to see some fruit. And so these connections to get him back into Haiti, the things in the DR, watching his ministry grow. For those listening, and even the partnership with Agape, it's like he's the real deal. And I say that, I think, leading into what I about Lift Church, because I love the people we get to partner with. I just get to Agape flights. I'm so proud of you and the things you're doing. And
so proud of you.
It's an honor to be here, to talk with you, and to get to sit with you. I don't take it for granted. You know, we've done life together for a while, but seeing you and you're helping tell this story, I'm just so proud of you. And I think when it comes to Lift Church, the mission stays the same. Like, how are we lifting our community? And for the future of our house, you know, we want to do that well. Our heart's desire is to be a multi-site church. So we see ourselves being in multiple communities, lifting the name of Jesus. While you're in those communities, you're also lifting those communities, and there's going to be needs. I see us having churches in the DR that are Lift Church Network churches. And for me, when it comes to, you know, last year we were able to give a significant amount of money to our ministry partners, and just to Hispaniola, we were close to $75,000 that we were able to pour into country. And for some organizations, that's not a lot of money. For us, it was a lot, and I'm proud of it. Like, I'm proud to sow that, and not only are we giving, we're going. You know, and I want to have the same thing happen. And so, the future for Lift Church in ministry is that it's still the mission to be the hands and feet of Jesus, not just giving the gospel, even though that is enough, because Jesus is the most important thing. But we want to do as much as we possibly can to meet needs right now. And that's going to be in Hispaniola. We're going to do that in Haiti and Dominican. and other places. I anticipate the Lord calling us into other spaces and regions to do that. Right now, we're doing, and my wife and I, we love, even locally, and you know this, foster and adoptive care.
That's right.
Like, I'm going to pour into as much as I can and whatever I sense the Lord leading us to do. And that's not going to change. You know, again, I want the communities that the Lord allows Lift Church to be in, I want those communities to miss us if we weren't there. And I think if we're doing that, we're doing it right. And I'm bringing glory to Jesus, which is my heart's desire, is to bring glory to his name. So
I might be biased because, you know, I go to your church, but I just love hearing those words because that is the heart of God.
Yeah.
I think the truth behind that is, you know, we're called, I careful in saying this statement every time, but God's pretty clear about one thing, and that says, preach the gospel to those who haven't heard the gospel. And that is a very clear calling. And to hear that our church does that, to hear that the Plate Project, that's the goals. It's so beautiful. So guys, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here. I want you to plug, where can people donate? Plug Justin's book about the Plate Project. Tell all about that real quick.
Yeah, it's good.
Yes. Listen, first of all, thank you so much to everyone that is even praying for us, thinking about helping us, supporting us. You can go to theplateproject.org or go to the Old Chapel Ministries and then plug in there. All the information is up there. We're in the process of making things so much better and updating and upgrading our website and our social media. So we're going to have a whole lot more content for you. And so we need your support. Let's be honest. I want to do so much more, but I cannot do it without you. My mentor, Papa Van, which the man that brought me to this country and which I can sit here on his shoulder, he used to say, thank you. May God hug your neck for helping these little ones, right? And so I love what Jesus said. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me water. And so help us, would you? Go to our website, go to the playproject.org and then donate your support. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Seriously.
It's so good.
I love it. I get so spoiled sitting on this side of the table because I just get to ask questions and then sit back and comfortable and just get lost in the stories and the heart. It's truly an honor. And I love you both. You guys are both my brothers in Christ.
Man,
so thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a gift.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Stuff.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Tune in next week. We will have Hope Seeds on, which I know is another incredible organization that you will not want to miss. So until then, God bless.